When we think about all these changes that have occurred, we can see that it fulfills what Jehovah promised. And if you turn with me, please, to the book of Isaiah, Isaiah chapter 60, and let's remind ourselves of what is said in the beginning of verse 17. Here Jehovah promises, "Instead of the copper, I will bring in gold, and instead of the iron, I will bring in silver, instead of the wood, copper, and instead of the stones, iron." Doesn't this describe nicely the promise Jehovah has made to help us to keep improving the various things that we're doing with preaching the good news, and also our spiritual feeding programs? Yes, things continue to improve. But let's also remember how verse 16 in the same chapter starts. It says, "And you will actually drink the milk of nations." We probably remember that the Watchtowers helped us to understand that this milk of the nations involves all the things that are being developed, including modern technology. And Jehovah's people, with Jehovah's blessing, have used many of these modern things to help us with teaching and preaching.
I've included this clip for two reasons. It's interesting to see the governing body freely admitting that they're willing to milk the nations. They're willing to milk Satan's system of things with its technological achievements, with its scientific progress, to their own ends. Of course, when the paradise comes after Armageddon, when all of Satan's system of things lies in ruins and there's no longer any infrastructure, there's no longer any industry, no more laboratories, no more factory lines, everything just gets reset and they're starting from a blank canvas. What are they supposed to do with all of these tablets that need charging and all of these devices, all of this equipment, filmmaking equipment, that they can no longer use? How do they explain that little conundrum? The super duper state-of-the-art video making capabilities that they're now using all stem from people going through higher education, people experimenting, applying the scientific method. And these are all people, these are all inventors who deserve to die if they don't become Jehovah's Witnesses. How do you explain all of that? Apparently it's okay because look, here's a verse in the Bible that says we get to milk the nations, and that's exactly what we're going to do. He also reads this verse from Isaiah 60 verse 17 about bringing in copper and gold and various enhancements to what there was before. And honestly, I can't go along with that. I don't think there has been improvement. Yes, the organization is, as I've just said, milking the nations when it comes to its use of technology. Everything's very professional. The Caleb and Sophia cartoons look like they could have been created by Pixar, but that doesn't make them good cartoons. They are vile propaganda. We're going to come to one example a little bit later. They are vile propaganda intended to hijack young minds and stultify the development of young people and terrify young people into following the governing body, and whatever the governing body says will make Jehovah sad. That's not progress. Progress in terms of technology doesn't automatically translate to progress organizationally or doctrinally. What we've actually seen, and many of you who have been watching my videos over the years will surely agree with this, what we've actually seen is a sharp deterioration in this organization, in the reputation that it has, because in each of its most controversial areas, whether we're talking about shunning, whether we're talking about blood transfusions, whether we're talking about the mishandling of abuse, the organization is doubling down. rather than taking on board what critics like me are saying, rather than responding to the needs of victims, rather than simply applying some humanity, they regard all of these issues as a test of loyalty. They seem to think that if they do the humane thing, if they stop witnesses dying, refusing blood, if they stop putting children in harm's way by keeping secret databases full of child molesters, oh, this is a compromise. This is compromising to Satan's system of things. So what we've actually seen is not copper replacing stone or gold replacing silver. We're seeing a deterioration. We're seeing more and more toxicity in this organization, and it's seeping through into the propaganda. Rather than realizing that this is not okay, that this is something that needs to be hidden, if anything, the organization's proud of all this. I mean, take, for example, the story of Jared Scepter. Please check out my video if you haven't seen it before. That was a horrendous story. And yet the organization seems proud of a young boy who was martyred over a religion that he was too young to fully understand. That's okay, apparently. That's an improvement. So no, I'm sorry, Geoffrey Jackson. I don't relate to your application of Isaiah. I think, if anything, this organization is getting more and more extreme, more and more fanatical, and more evil.